Hey everybody, Wandering Pastor coming to you today with the beginning of a series that I'm calling Perspective. And I wanted to bring it this week because, as we know, a week from tomorrow is the presidential election, among many others, that is happening here in the United States. And I know that there's a lot of concern over whichever candidate is elected. In other words, if former President Trump gets elected, how is he going to govern in the coming 4 years? If Vice President Kamala Harris gets elected, how is she going to govern in the coming years? And it's going to be very easy, and it has been very easy in this whole season to be kind of wrapped up in this. And for many of us, we find virtually our whole identity, our whole conscious concentration going into the election right now. And it's, of course, a fever pitch, and it's very easy to begin to be vitriolic and hateful and negative and sort of caustic in your treatment of people who see things differently than you. And so from a Christian perspective, we, of course, are called to live differently. And we've talked about that many, many times over this issue as well as many other things. But I wanted to bring to you a series this week that kind of helps you to have that perspective. And today, part one is simply called God is Bigger. And the different thing about this series is I'm just taking one passage at a time, but a passage that reminds us that as big as these things are, and I do believe they're important, as big as these things are, and as much on a practical difference it's going to make in how our country is governed, the one thing it will not do is change the fact that God is bigger. And so I'm just going to read to you several verses from a passage. It's one of my favorite passages in the scripture. It's Isaiah chapter 40. And Isaiah chapter 4, it's a long chapter. I won't read all of it, but I would encourage you to go ahead and read it because, again, it gives you perspective. And for believers in Jesus Christ, we need to be reminded of the eternal perspective and the fact that God is bigger than who rules us. God is bigger than who gets elected. God is bigger than the laws that are passed or the Supreme Court or anything. God is bigger. Okay, so let me just read from Isaiah chapter 40. I won't read the whole thing, as I said, but verse 6 says, "A voice says, 'Cry out.' And I said, 'What shall I cry?' That all men are like grass, and all their glory is like the flowers of the field. The grass withers and the flowers fall, because the breath of the Lord blows on them. Surely the people are like grass. The grass withers and the flowers fade, but the word of our God stands forever." A little bit later on, it says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been told to you from the beginning? Have you not understood since the earth was founded? He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and all of its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a canopy and spreads them out like a tent to live in. He brings princes to naught, and he reduces the rulers of this world to nothing. No sooner are they planted, no sooner are they sown, no sooner do they take root in the ground, and then he blows on them and they wither, and a whirlwind sweeps them away. To whom can you compare me? Or who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls them each by name. Because of his great power and his mighty strength, not one of them is missing. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. Listen, he will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint." And so that's from Isaiah chapter 40. And again, one of the things I just wanted to remind you of is that God is bigger. God is bigger than the challenges of this life. God is bigger than the specific challenges you are facing in your life and your relationships and so on. God is bigger. God is bigger than the presidential election. God is bigger than all the rulers over us. God is bigger. And what does that mean for us? Well, to me, I think one of the things it means is we can kind of rest a little bit, knowing Not that we don't have a responsibility to vote and to be informed and to take part in our process and so on. We do, I believe. But we can rest knowing that God is in control, even of who gets in, and that somehow he is going to work no matter what. And I'll tell you the main way he's going to work. The main way he's going to work is through you and me as believers in Jesus Christ. Now, some of you may be watching and you're not a believer in Jesus Christ and you haven't been born again and you aren't walking in the step with the Spirit, but you are interested and you're interested in the Christian perspective on it. But here's essentially, in my opinion, the Christian perspective. God does not change. He is bigger than these issues. He is bigger than any presidential politician, any Supreme Court decision. He is bigger than any of these things. And therefore, he can be worshiped. He can be served, he can be submitted to, and he is very much involved in our lives. And so if he, as a believer in Jesus Christ, if I am involved in his will and he is involved in my life, then I have the ability and the responsibility to rise above the stuff of this world. To realize it's important on this level, but it doesn't change this level. He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth. He looks at us and blows on the leaders and they're gone. It might seem like a long time for us, but in eternity, it's a blip. It's a blip on the radar screen. So I just want you to know and just have it settled in your heart. God is bigger. And if you believe in God, and you believe that he is active, and you believe that he cares about you, about me, about this world, then rest a little bit. Chill a little bit. Take a breath a little bit. Worship him, serve him, get to know him, and try to make him known to others in how you live and what you say. And we can rise above this stuff, okay? Wandering pastor saying, peace. May God go with you today. May he enable you to serve him. May your perspective change and may you share the light with other people. All right? Peace.